Hi, this is Matt Littman for MeidasTouch. I'm joined today by Congresswoman Haley Stevens from Michigan, the 11th district. Is that the district?
Michigan 11, Oakland County, baby.
Did your district just change? Did it change a little bit in the last?
I used to represent some of Wayne County, what we call Western Wayne County, so the communities west of Detroit, Livonia, Canton, Plymouth, and it left me a couple years ago. And so now I'm exclusively in the county that is very much going to help determine the fate of the presidential election and the statewide election in Michigan. I'm expecting 450,000 people to vote in my district. Yeah.
So let me just ask you the question right off the bat, Congresswoman. Is democracy ending in 2024?
I laugh, and I shouldn't, because as George Packer said, it starts to become funny when your government is on shaky ground and in trouble. And I think more so what you mean is Donald Trump going to get reelected? And I don't think so. And not because I'm resting on laurels or expectations, but because, Matt, our Democrats are on fire in Michigan. I show up at small community events, and they are packed with Democrats who are doing precinct delegate work, who are knocking on doors, and who are very engaged and freaked out and taking nothing for granted. We don't want another 2016 on our hands in Michigan. And we also recognize that 2024 isn't 2016. And we have a whole host of other challenges and objectives to accomplish. And I'm beginning those communication channels in a very aggressive way with my on the ground folks, because again, we don't want to take anything for granted. And not only do we have a president who's accomplished a whole heck of a lot in Joe Biden, he deserves another 4 years.
So, I mean, whether, of course, we agree that Joe Biden deserves another 4 years, but Donald Trump, even aside from all the legal troubles, seems to hate unions.
Right.
And Michigan is a union state. So how is it even possible that he is basically, let's say, even? I think the last poll I saw had Biden up by 1 or 2. But how is it even possible that he's even in Michigan?
Great question. It's a psychological question. And we've been dealing with this conundrum for a while, particularly as Republicans have glommed on to cultural issues that sometimes speak to some union members. We also certainly have very diverse unions, unions with a lot of people from minority communities who are in the union. The UAW certainly comes to mind. We have 2 Black women who run respectively the regions in Southeast Michigan. So Laura Dickerson for 1A and LaShawn English for Region 1, which is my region. And they're both tremendously strong leaders. But as we think about our building trades and the large swath of unions, they like the tough guy rhetoric. They like that Trump and MAGA Republicans punch the nose on cultural issues. And this is why bringing together unions with the likes of the climate movement, which Joe Biden did with the Inflation Reduction Act, bringing our unions to the table with our pro-choice advocacy partners, which was instrumental in Michigan in 2022, is going to be critical yet again, not just here in Michigan, but all across the country. And I just lastly too want to say on this, Matt, because we do have groundwork to make up for with rank and file union members. Shawn Fain, who's the newish president of the UAW, seemingly employed a really smart strategy. He said, I'm not going to just rubber stamp Joe Biden. I am putting that endorsement up for grabs in some respects. And he showed his members that Joe Biden earned it, that he was the trusted voice. And I believe he's got a ton of credibility. He's a new generational leader for the UAW. He's really of his members. He has a lot of their trust. And so when he's slamming Donald Trump, I think his union members are listening, and they're not just assuming this is a rubber stamp because it feels good to be in in bed with the Democrats. It's not that. It's Joe Biden has stood up for unions, believes in a 21st century labor movement, has been a very pro-union president, and then on. And so how do we recruit back some of these lost votes? We're doing that. We're in the nooks and crannies. We're in the union halls, and we are making sure that the president has time for those union members to get to know him.
Well, so you have in Michigan the best elected officials in the country, right? And so let's say that, and the Republican Party in Michigan seems to be in the worst shape of just about any Republican party. In this case, Congresswoman, is it true that surrogates like you, Governor Whitmer, for example, matter more? You're in the one of the three most important swing states with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Do you feel that you matter more? You could brag about yourself than it might in other places, that the surrogates like you matter more this time?
Well, I actually tell my colleagues in the Congress that there's a unique and special responsibility being a Democrat from Michigan, an elected Democrat. And it's a lot of work, and it's also really exciting. This campaign has been in full throttle since the beginning of the year. I came back for a vote series in March, and I was like, I know it's March, but it feels like it's September. The weekends are just jam-packed. The Biden campaign has opened up dozens of campaign offices. Surrogacy matters for those. And then certainly just the incoming, that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign rather, is really putting a premium on spending time in Michigan, being visible. And that certainly plays dividends, but it does ask a lot of us. And look, there's no direct superimposition of a surrogate to a candidate, but people recognize the president can't be in Michigan as much as our governor is up in Lansing. And her popularity is through the roof. She's beloved in the state. She definitely took some hits during COVID and surmounted them and won an amazing reelection. I call her an electoral goddess. And she's been also a true defender of our democracy and has shown real executive leadership chops. So I hope that she makes appearances on TV. I hope she makes it into TV ads. I hope that the likes of voters, particularly independent voters, get that chance to hear from people like themselves who are going to vote for Joe Biden because they can't bear the thought and they understand the real threat that Donald Trump poses, not only to our country, but also just to the world.
Yeah. Now, I'm of two minds on the Trump trial, Congresswoman, which is, one, obviously, he's a terrible person, but two, the less that he's out there speaking, the better it is for his campaign, right? So in other words, when he's kicked off Twitter, it's better for him if people don't hear from him because for obvious reasons that have to do with his horrible personality. How do you feel about that?
Well, I have to tell you, this 24/7 Trump TV and coverage of this trial, which is very sensational, very newsworthy, and I'm not here to be armchair quarterback to the independent press. I got other work to do, and I think that's the beauty of our system here in the United States of America. We have three branches of government, and right now Donald Trump is running to be commander in chief, but is sitting there in that third branch of government in the courts, dealing with all the ins and outs of absurdity and ridiculousness. And it's not a witch hunt, right? It's not political. It is just he has chosen to bend the trust of our legal system and has very likely broken the law. He has been convicted of slamming Jean Carroll, and we know all about that. And then I think with Trump on Twitter and what's going on with the social media and all this, look, this has a real effect on the American psyche, whether Trump's on Twitter or not, because we know, based on studies that have been released and just human behavior on display at all times, that when you spend too much time on social media, it starts pumping the cortisol through your body. It increases your heart rate. It stresses you out. You kind of feel like you're in an echo chamber. You want to yell at someone. You feel like something's unjust. You disagree. And then all of a sudden we're all yelling at each other every moment, in any given time. And we don't allow for things to play out. And it creates this cyclone of negativity. And what I tell people who care, who want to make change, get into your neighborhood, knock doors. Guess what I was doing just a couple hours ago, Matt Littman? I was knocking doors in Pontiac, Michigan. People are out and about. It's a beautiful day here in my state, by the way. The leaves are green and they're, finally out, and the weather.
What were you saying when you knocked on the doors? Were you asking people to come out and vote in November, or what were you doing?
I actually wasn't doing voter canvassing. I was with the Pontiac Housing Authority. So I was talking to people about infrastructure and housing initiatives and what we've done, because Joe Biden made sure we got the Rescue Act, which gave the city of Pontiac housing money. And I was introducing myself and I was getting good feedback. But yes, I cannot wait to go and knock doors in Pontiac for Joe Biden.
Well, one more question. One last question. So let's say, we hope Joe Biden wins. We'll all go to Michigan, knock on doors, is what you might tell people watching this, for example, that they should come knock on doors. Michigan has early in-person voting for the first time.
Yeah.
Like
we have the early vote. So it got, yes, for a presidential election, it's really neat. Like, it's not just, put your ballot in the drop box. It is go in for the 5 days prior. It's just like it is on election day. You can vote early. It's really exciting. We still have same day registration, and removing some of those barriers has really changed things. And Matt, I think you might know, Eric Swalwell had started a caucus in the Congress called Future Forum to engage the next generation. And I'm now a co-chair of Future Forum. And I will tell you, when we look at young people, they are young. They have sometimes the inexperience of voting and knowing how to vote, and then don't know how to vote, and then don't vote as a result. And so we've got to kind of take that stuff seriously. And this is why these laws that were passed and ballot initiatives that were passed in Michigan have really changed the landscape here. And this is what democracy is all about: encouraging participation, engaging people, and making change as a result.
Thank you, Congresswoman Stevens. Just so folks know who may not know you well, you also helped save the auto industry in the United States when you were in the Obama administration. So I want folks to know that too. One of the best, when you talk about the Future Forum and you're the co-chair, you're also the future of the Democratic Party. You're the present and the future. So thank you for talking to MeidasTouch today, and hopefully we'll be seeing you on the campaign trail in October.
Thank you so much, my friend. Great to see you.
Talk to you soon.
Enough! Send him to the big house, not the White House. Get the new exclusive tees, mugs, and stickers right now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.